If you've been hauling compost piles, flipping them weekly and waiting months just to get a few wheelbarrows of brown material, I've got news that might sting a bit. Compost, at least the way most gardeners make it, is outdated. Don't get me wrong, compost had its time, and it's done a lot of good for soil health over the years. But if you're serious about creating soil that's biologically alive, self-feeding and high-yielding, you need to move beyond compost. What your garden really needs isn't a pile of decomposed waste. It needs living soil powered by fermented organic matter. It's time to stop cooking your nutrients to death and start cultivating life instead. Traditional composting kills the biology your plants actually depend on. The problem with traditional composting lies in the heat. When a compost pile reaches 150 degrees Fahrenheit or more, most of the beneficial microorganisms that build soil structure, fix nitrogen and protect roots from disease are destroyed. What's left after months of decomposition is a nutrient-depleted, biologically weak material. It may improve texture for a while, but it doesn't sustain life underground. You're basically applying dead organic matter instead of a thriving microbial inoculant. When you dump that on your beds, your soil microbes have to restart the decomposition process, drawing nitrogen from your plants to break it down again. This is why many gardeners notice slow early growth after adding compost. The soil isn't being fed, it's being robbed of energy. Your soil doesn't want compost, it wants fermented organic matter that's alive. What the soil truly thrives on is biologically active organic matter that hasn't been sterilized by heat. Think of it like probiotics for the earth. The method that delivers this is called bokashi fermentation or anaerobic fermentation composting. Unlike hot composting, bokashi doesn't rely on air or heat. It uses beneficial microorganisms, particularly lactic acid bacteria, to ferment organic waste. The process preserves nearly all the nutrients and keeps the microbial community alive. Here's the key difference. Instead of letting organic waste rot and oxidize, you're converting it into a microbe-rich food source your soil can immediately digest. It's the same principle farmers have used for centuries when fermenting silage for livestock, except now we're doing it for soil health. During this time, the microbes break down the material without oxygen, creating organic acids, enzymes, and microbial colonies that will later explode into activity once introduced to soil. When it's ready, the mixture won't look like compost. It'll look pickled, with a mild acidic smell. How to apply fermented organic matter directly into your garden soil. Here's where the real magic happens. Instead of waiting for months like traditional compost, you can use fermented matter in as little as 14 days. Dig shallow trenches in your garden beds, about 6 to 8 inches deep, and bury the fermented material at a ratio of 1 part bokashi to 3 parts soil. Cover it well and let it sit for another 2 weeks before planting. During this resting phase, soil microorganisms convert the fermented matter into humus, releasing nutrients in a form that plants can absorb instantly. If you're using it for container gardening, mix 1 part fermented matter with 5 parts potting mix or soil. You'll notice something remarkable. There's no sour smell, and within days, the soil becomes dark, crumbly, and alive with earthworms. That's because the organic acids created during fermentation act as microbial food, not waste. Why this method beats compost in nutrient retention and soil regeneration. Fermentation keeps carbon, nitrogen, and trace minerals locked in the material instead of losing them to evaporation. Studies show bokashi retains up to 80% more nitrogen compared to hot compost. That means you're not just feeding plants, you're enriching the soil microbiome that supports long-term fertility. The beneficial microbes introduced through this process also suppress pathogens, reduce soil compaction, and accelerate the breakdown of any remaining organic debris. This is especially useful for gardeners working with depleted or compacted soils. You can take this further by combining fermentation with cover crops and mulch. If you really want to push your soil regeneration to the next level, integrate this method with living roots and surface mulch. After burying your fermented matter, sow fast-growing cover crops like buckwheat or mustard. Their roots will quickly colonize the freshly inoculated soil, feeding the microbes and locking in carbon. Then mulch the surface with shredded leaves or straw to keep moisture and microbial activity stable. In just one growing season, this system can transform dead sandy soil into a dark, living sponge teeming with life. The goal isn't to make dirt look good, it's to make it alive. Compost might still have a role as a bulk soil conditioner, but if you want to feed your plants biologically, it's time to shift to fermentation-based soil building. This is faster, more efficient, and infinitely more sustainable. So, the next time someone tells you to turn your compost pile, tell them you've moved on to something smarter. Your soil deserves more than decomposed leftovers. It deserves a life. If this guide helped you, make sure to subscribe to Soil Doctor and share this video with a fellow gardener who's still stuck flipping compost piles. Let's bring real biology back to the soil and keep growing gardens that thrive naturally, season after season.